listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome.
Welcome to Second Wind. You know, Second Wind podcast was really created for you. I wanted to give you the ability to encourage you through this development stage, which could really be crummy if you're in the middle of pain. So you start always with getting to know who you are. And then I want you to be inspired to dream big. And by listening to other people on Second Wind, they can sort of plant seeds for you. Now, the third thing that I want you to be informed about how to get your second wind. You need the support of this organization. You need connections of this organization to help your journey be easier. So thank you today if this is your first time to listen to Second Wind, and I hope it's not your last. I hope you'll put us on as a regular. So I want to tell you, I always have the best guests on my show because they are unique women that, like so many of us, that have gone through their own transitions. And so they are sharing their message. And you're going to love this message today. So let me tell you about my guest. She's based in Los Angeles, and her name is Jen Cassetta. And she is a nationally recognized speaker, empowerment coach, and self-defense expert. But she's also an author. Equipped with 3-degree black belt in HapKiDo?
HapKiDo.
Oh, darn. Oh, HapKiDo. It's my new word for today. She has a master's in nutrition and a health coaching certificate. She develops programs that help women feel strong, safe, powerful, from the streets to the boardroom. I love that. Her skills have been featured on the Today Show, The Doctors, Rachael Ray, and she was featured expert on ABC TV's My Diet is Better Than Yours, which I love that. Now, her new book is The Art of Badassery, Unleash Your Mojo with Wisdom of the Dojo. And it will be on the bookshelves everywhere in August 2022. So it's coming up. So Jen, just a little personal side here, grew up in
Mayopac, it's called.
I know, it's an Indian name. I know that. Mayopac, New York, and couldn't wait to live in New York City. She graduated from Fordham University and lived in Manhattan from 1996 to 2009 before moving to Los Angeles. Welcome.
Joyce, thank you for that wonderful welcome. And thanks to everyone out there who's listening.
Well, we're just so excited that you're here. Now, she and I did just chat a bit about the weather, and she's in 70 degrees and I'm in 90. So I'm really jealous. But anyway, I always like to share with those listening, because sometimes we get so caught up in our pain that we think nobody else has had pain like we've had. And yes, it may be different pain, but pain is pain. So there was something very traumatic and unique to your pain that happened to you in 2011.
2001.
2001. Oh, sorry.
That's
2001. Yeah.
September 11th.
Yes.
There you go.
So share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was about 22 years ago that I stepped into a dojo for the first time. And for those of you listening that might not know what that is, it's a martial arts training studio where I fell madly in love with this wonderful practice where I was strengthening my body, my mind, my spirit, really starting to feel grounded for the first time in my young adulthood. And that later that year, living and working in New York City, I showed up to work 3 blocks south of the World Trade Center on September 11th, only to find, obviously, tragedy occurring The towers had already been hit and smoke was billowing out. I stepped into the lobby of the building I worked in to make a phone call, and the first tower fell. So I was pushed into this lobby, or this, closet, with a bunch of strangers. And for the first time in my life, I kind of shut down. I went into that freeze mode where, obviously a lot of people have suffered from freeze when it comes to a traumatic incident. Yeah. And this woman came over to me and grabbed me and shook me and asked me my name, which forced me to take a deep breath and kind of come to. And I said, Jennifer. And she said, Jennifer, I'm Nancy. And the two of us, we're going to get out of here today. It's like, okay. And the two of us did. We went from building to building looking for shelter. And finally, later that day, I took Nancy to the dojo, where we were able to drink water and calm down and feel safe, essentially. So it was really became a metaphor for my early adulthood of this refuge place, this place where I went to feel strong and safe and powerful again, where I was building myself up and essentially rising from the ashes, right? And then out of a job, I decided that I wanted to somehow create that benefit for others, to help them feel strong, safe, and powerful too. So it started as a journey in physicality, personal training, and then health coaching, and then diving deeper and deeper as I went on and developed more skills.
Yes. So had you already gotten your master's degree in nutrition? You had.
But no. At that time, no, I had not.
Nor your black belt.
No. In 2000.
That's all after that.
All experience. After that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really amazing that whole experience. I can't imagine what it must have been like to just see all that up close. I mean, so close. It would we were stunned watching it on TV.
Right.
And for you to have that totally different experience.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting what trauma does, right? A lot of the day is blurred out. I walked about 50 blocks to my sister's apartment later that day, and I don't remember 1 second of it. I don't even remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not 1 second.
Did you say you were in shock? Is that what shock is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the brain just goes off. Gone. Oh my. Well, I was looking at your book titles, and I'm so excited and I'm so proud of you for writing this book.
Thank you.
Because everybody needs a tool like this. This is how to get your second wind, how to get your rebirth, in just such clever chapters that you put. For instance, chapter 1 is white belt, because you connected it back to the dojo. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so you put in the white belt, of course, is the embrace, the suck. And that's where you are.
Yes.
So, how do they do that?
Okay, so embrace the suck. I thought I made that term up, but it turns out that the U.S. military uses that term.
Good company.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine, they really are, right? They're in battlefields and truly embracing that, embracing the fact that terrible things are going to happen.
Right.
And the sooner that we can all just embrace that and realize that's true for everyone, the sooner we can move on and open ourselves to healing and grace. So throughout the chapter, I have different exercises for people to work through, but the first is really about creating that. I don't know if this audience could say the word. So it's your greatest SHIT list.
Okay.
I don't know who's listening out there. I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm a New Yorker. That's how I speak. So you build that list out and look back at your history and say, I am where I am because of those sucky times because of those hardships, failures, perceived failures, all of that stuff. And I've gained strength from them. And I think just recognizing those strengths and really identifying what they are can help anyone feel more confident and more empowered, regardless of where they are right now in their life.
Yeah. Do you talk about the acceptance of those? Is that what you're talking about in that chapter? Accepting them and how to accept them?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Whether it be an opponent who hurt you intentionally, whether it be something like a pandemic that we've all lived through.
Right.
Again, you can't change the past.
Right.
You can't change those things. So accepting them, and it doesn't mean celebrating them.
No.
It just means accepting that they are the way they were. And now we can choose how we want to react going forward.
Right.
That's where the power lies.
Do you talk about, some people, it takes them much longer to go through some of that acceptance step, and I think being patient with yourself is such an important ingredient. So what if it takes you 5 and it only took your friend 2 months to get through it?
Right.
It's whatever it takes for you.
Exactly.
Respecting you. So it's getting to know yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I may have to just walk through all these because I think they're so clever. You said the yellow belt, and that was bounce back. So how are you going to bounce back?
Yeah. Again, it's funny, some motivational speakers you'll hear or people in your life, just dust yourself off, get back up. And it's like, well, how, right? And how do we do that? So this chapter goes through 3 different strategies that I learned from the mat that can help in real life, which one is the pivot. We all know I think we all mastered the pivot in the last 2 years, changing direction when something isn't working. Right. The second is rolling with the punches. So sometimes life throws you not 1 punch, but 2, 3, or more in a row, and you're just kind of like flailing. So using the momentum of that fall, almost in accepting the impact in order to gain that momentum to roll back forward and stand back up. And how do we do that? So leaning on your community, actively seeking out people that have walked a mile in your shoes, that have gone through the same challenges that you're facing, leaning on them, asking for support, right? All of these things are lined out in that strategy. And then the third is sometimes life knocks you out for the count, right? Maybe it takes away something that there's no real coming back from, a loss, a person, a divorce, a job, right? It's gone. So the only option really is to make an ultimate comeback, meaning recreating yourself, right? And that's what the second wind, I would imagine, is all about. How do we recreate ourselves after we've felt like we've been completely knocked out?
Yeah. I love hearing this. That's one of the best things about my podcast for me, is I love hearing how everybody reshapes their lives. And many times it's a win on the other side.
Yes.
You've done more, because of that challenge, you've reached out more, you've become stronger. I mean, it's just amazing.
And usually you have more impact on people around you too, right? You become the inspiration. You become that person where people are like floored, like, oh my God, how did she do it? I want to do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. The next one is orange belt. And this says block the BS. Well, I know what that means. We say that in Texas, bullshit. Anytime. That's real easy.
Yeah.
I leave the bull off a lot of times.
Yeah.
I do the short version.
Yeah.
But, I like this one because you talk about negativity, which is so big around us. It's thick. When you walk through, there's so many negative people, and certainly with all of the chaos that's going on in the United States right now, the world, really.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
So do you give us any protection way we can protect ourselves? Oh,
yeah.
she's smiling, and that means yes.
Yes. So again, relating it to the self-defense that I teach, right? I say, if people are encroaching on your boundaries, whether that be negativity from the news or a person who's making you feel belittled in any way, you have two options, right? And that's the most important part, is to remember that we have options. You can remove yourself from the situation if possible, or create distance and space from that person, place, or thing, and or communicate what your boundaries are. And that's where a lot of things come into play. Your confrontation comfort zone, for example. A lot of people don't feel comfortable speaking their boundaries because they feel like it's going to create confrontation, and it may. And really, being okay with that. So again, in that chapter, there's different examples of how to do that. And there is no right or wrong way. It's essentially finding out how you are in those situations, and maybe pushing your own boundaries a little bit to stick up for yourself and protect that energy around you.
Right. And there's probably a growth ladder that they have to go on. The first one is just a little bitty confrontation. And then the next one's a little bitty more. And so finally, they're really standing on both feet. Saying, you took my parking place. Things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I like the roar. I want to roar. I want to be one of those women that roar. So I love that one. So you mean there you're talking about powerful communication, but what kind?
Essentially, we communicate non-verbally and verbally, right? So starting with your physiology and your body language, really just checking in and seeing, are you maximizing your potential, right? Are you even thinking about, are you even conscious about your body language in the first place? So that's where I would begin, and just check in with yourself right now. Where are your shoulders? Where's your head? When you have your next conversation, are you making direct eye contact or not? I love that Joyce and I are looking at each other and using Zoom and having our videos on to make that personal connection. Otherwise, again, we're not maximizing the connection that we can have. And the reverse is true too. If you're walking down the street and you're not, forcefully making eye contact with people to let them know that you're alert, you're aware of your surroundings, you're taking it all in, right? You're not maximizing that potential of exuding confidence.
Right. Yeah. I had this conversation with my teenage daughter, and I don't know what brought it about, but I was showing her how to walk in a room where she would kind of have some authority or power or confidence, whatever you want to call it. And it really is a simple thing to do, but I don't think a lot of us think that we can set the stage from the door as we walk into that room. And it really makes a difference.
100%. It's actually, they say it's more powerful than the words we speak. So after body language, then we talk about tone quickly and again, using your tone in a powerful way. And then the words we say outwardly, but probably more importantly, the way we speak to ourselves, the words that we use to ourselves.
You mean those that run in our head or the ones that actually go through our mouth?
I'm saying both are important, right? But the chapter kind of ends with our inner self-talk.
Oh, good. Yeah. I actually think that's one of the biggest things we have to face in life.
100%.
Eliminating that self-talk.
Yeah.
It really shows it.
Yeah.
Chapter 5, Blue Belt, elevate your energy. Now, how do you do that?
So interesting. The metaphor using the martial arts background is in martial arts and any Eastern philosophies, you start to learn about chi and ki and prana, right? All those different words for essentially the same thing, the life force energy that runs through our bodies. Here in Western civilization, we don't even think about that. We don't have a name for it. We don't have a word for it. We don't have ways to generate it. We don't have ways to see if it's depleting. So in general, this chapter is really about self-care. We're going. We have a word for the opposite, right? When we are completely depleted of that energy, it's called burnout.
Oh yeah.
And that's like a buzzword right now, obviously, but seriously, we have more control over preventing burnout than we think. It's all about self-care. I mean, from the way you feed yourself to the way you move your body, to the amount of sleep and rest you get, to the people that you surround yourself with, right? There's so many ways that we can be proactive in regenerating that energy, or even just plugging up the holes.
Right. I think that's one I'm thinking of, one of the challenges for most women is these friendships from childhood that they hang on to forever, almost as though they've taken them on as a family member and we can't get rid of them. But
Right.
and when they're not working for us and they're reminding us of the goofy things we did, I don't see that working very well.
Yep. I would go
And
back
I
to,
think, yeah, go ahead.
well, I would go back to Orange Belt, and that's about creating distance and space from those types of relationships. In this level, it's more proactively seeking out people who do lift you up.
Oh, good. Yeah. And how to find them?
No, I don't have a how-to.
Oh, come on. You want us to work? We want to be fed.
Yeah, I hear you.
And you end this book with a wonderful, it's called The Red Belt. Now,
well, that's not the end. Black belt is the end, but
I'm shortening the book. Okay, but the red belt is connect with the warrior inside. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you all have warriors inside?
We all do. She's in there. You just got to talk to her, lean in, listen. She's guiding you. She's sending you messages, your intuition, essentially, right? It's there for everyone. You don't have to be a psychic. You just have to listen.
Yes. So do you introduce meditation in here a little bit, or is that...
I certainly do. I more as an example of how I connect with my inner warrior. I say that there are many ways to do it, right? Whether it's journaling, breath work, yoga. I mean, people have different ways of doing that. For me, meditation has worked so well and changed my life that I would highly recommend it to everyone. Yeah.
Right.
Do you meditate?
I don't. I like to listen to ministers. I like that.
Yeah.
I have a great guy in Atlanta, Charles Stanley.
Okay.
And I do that. And then I do like to sit quietly. I walk in the yard a lot. I have a yard here. I'm in a house.
Nice.
So anyway, I do that grounding and walking.
Oh, I love that. And that's like a moving meditation, right? There are different ways to meditate, and there is walking meditation.
I'm so happy walking because I have a puppy.
Oh,
that puppy's about a year old, and I get so much enjoyment out of watching how happy she is to be walking, even at 6:15 in the morning.
Oh,
but she is so proud. It's sort of like a kid that's kind of, her head's up and she's moving, and she's white.
Cute.
Like an angel.
Super
so
cute.
Anyway, and you say the last chapter is the black belt.
Yes.
But it talks about taking the lead.
Meaning that we all have the ability to be a leader in our communities, in the microcosm of our worlds, right? Our little slice of life. So whether that be like your bridge club, whether that be your book club, whether that be your school, your job, your whatever community you're a part of, right? We can all make a difference in this world. You don't have to be like when I was much younger, when I heard the word leadership, I would think of politicians or men in gray suits sitting in boardrooms. I didn't realize that that word could be for me too. So through the martial arts journey, I realized that I was stepping into this leadership role in the microcosm of the dojo, but then that started to leak out into other parts of my life as well. So that's where I just want to I would leave people with, ways that you can be a leader, and not the type of leader that scrambles over other people, or right. The type of leader that we need more of, the ones that look out for others. And especially women for women. So I leave kind of with 26 ways that you can give back to other women and be a true
Oh,
leader for women. Yeah.
awesome.
So there, I did the work for you. I gave you all the ways you can do that.
You did. Now, I'm curious, is this your first book or you've
It
written
is my
others?
first published book with a publisher. I did self-publish a
Okay.
book 6 years ago. That was more
Yeah.
about self-defense and safety for young women.
Ah,
Mhm.
yes. I saw you on YouTube. I watched, and you were, let me see, you were on Rachael Ray's show.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the one I watched.
It's fun.
And you showed them some moves
Mm.
to protect themselves,
Yep.
which is a great thing. Now you speak a lot. And
Mhm.
so on your speaking, do you incorporate some of those moves for people to see?
I sure do. Absolutely. I get people standing up, using their bodies in a way where they can feel powerful. And again, I'm just going to say, especially for women, right? We weren't taught how to be powerful in our bodies. Most of us anyway.
Right.
I'm sure it's different now, but I was never taught how to make a proper fist, but my brother probably was. So I get women just doing these different moves in their body to feel that strength, to feel I have the ability to protect myself if I ever need to.
I think that's really missing. I
Mhm.
still think it's missing.
Mhm.
I don't know that I've taught, in Texas, we just buy them a gun,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't see our girls really getting that instructional part in their education.
Right.
It has to be sought out
Mhm.
separately.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of my friends would not say they felt powerful nor
Mhm.
could protect themselves.
Mhm.
So I usually ask the guard to watch me as I walk to my car.
Yeah.
But, in some situations, that's all you have.
Right.
So that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But I bet you're a wonderful speaker because that needs to be taught to so many people.
Mhm.
And the moves that you were making on Rachel, I thought, well, you had a key and you had this man that accosted you face to face. You jabbed that into his armpit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe his neck.
Oh, no. I'm too nice to do the neck. But the armpit, maybe.
Yeah.
Would work. You also mentioned the eye.
Yeah.
And I totally went,
Uh-huh. Right.
you know.
It feels queasy now, but look, if you're ever in a fight for your life, like
That's true.
these are skills that you just need to know, have in the back pocket, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, do you have some other suggestions for women that are walking down the street? They feel fear. What do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, personal safety, self-defense really starts with a mindset. So having that practicing situational awareness is the first thing I'll ever teach, which is being aware, putting your phone away, really taking in information with all of your senses and going into that. If you said the woman feels fear, that's the inner warrior. That's your intuition speaking to you. Listen to it. Find out why. Can you protect yourself by going into a store, crossing the street, getting away, creating that distance and space that I mentioned before? Or now will you have to communicate what your boundaries are? Hey, back up, get away from me. Don't take one more step. I've called 911, whatever that's going to be. Then if you're now in it, right? Now, if you're actually in a grab, in a hold, you're going to need to know the weapons on your body, how to use them, and where to strike. And the what I always drill into my students is eyes, throat, groin. That's where you go first to try and loosen up a grab or a hold that's on you. So striking the eyes, scratching, poking, drilling, whatever, hitting the throat, kneeing to the groin, right? These are just simple, basic techniques that pretty much anyone can perform with power after a little bit of practice.
Do you have a video series of these?
I sure do. It's called
You do?
I do. Yeah.
Great.
Oh.
Tell us about those. Share.
Yes, there's an online course called She Warrior Self-Defense. And if you just Google that, you'll find it right away. But you will learn like everything you need to know in basic self-defense, then you can learn it from home.
I'm writing it down. Because everyone out there should be writing this down.
I love it.
So you could get it. Because if we're too far away, she may not come to our part of the country. Wherever you are, she may not be in your city. So you can have that. Now, I get stuck on this. Explain the dojo. What is the dojo?
Oh, the dojo is just the martial arts training center, the place of training.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's the gym.
Exactly. It truly is.
Gym. So why did you write this book?
Well, it's so interesting because I feel like our missions align so well, but I wrote this book. Truly, I've been wanting to write a book for 15 years, but I had to go through a few rough times in my life. And about 6 years ago, I lost my father very unexpectedly. I had lots of drama and trauma around pregnancy losses. And finally just getting to a place where I wanted to share just all of the skills that I learned from the mat, but essentially not really about the mat, right? It's really about a wisdom, a self-development journey that we can all go on. So really, I wrote this book for women who have been through really hard times. That's who I wrote it for. And I feel like most of us have in some way or the other.
Well, what's some of the feedback that you've gotten on this? Have you gotten some feedback on this book?
It's not out in the world yet, but I got a Publisher's Weekly review, which was really positive.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, so we're going to be able to get your book after August the 2022. So that's right now, as of today, that's about 2 months.
Yeah.
But so anyway, we'll be looking forward to that.
Thank you. Yes, you can pre-order it. It's there on Amazon and all the other booksellers.
Well, that's a good idea. Just go order it, and then it'll be there.
It'll be like a surprise.
A surprise for yourself.
Your future self will thank you.
Indeed, they will. Right after you watch your She Woman Self-Defense tape. So if you were to share some things that basically you feel women might need going forward, what would that be?
Oh gosh. I mean,
so many. I know.
So many. I mean,
is there more than one common request from women that listen to you or speak with you?
I would say after a talk, so I have a couple different programs. I have personal safety and self-defense, which I give to corporations or out on the road. And then I have the Art of Badassery, which is essentially the book that you just went through, but in a very condensed version. In the last 6 months that I've been getting back out on the road after COVID and stuff, the feedback is really just, I really needed to hear that. I just had a really rough couple years. And I feel like that's what women need right now, is just reminders. This is just a reminder, right? I didn't invent anything new. Right. It's just a reminder that you have the power to choose how you want to live your life now and going forward. And right, either reinventing yourself or bouncing back or whatever it is you need to do, but you need to take care of yourself. No one's going to do it for you. No one's coming to rescue us.
Yeah. Dang. You know, I feel just in my little town, which is Tyler, Texas, we're about 100,000. And I think everybody is so much more aggressive now than they used to be. I don't know if that's because we locked in our house for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
or, we watch too much TV,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. But people just seem, driving,
Yeah.
now I know in LA, driving is quite a sport,
Yeah.
but it's getting to be a sport here.
Yeah. It's
People drive very fast.
Mhm.
They're very all over the place.
Distracted, angry.
Oh, yes.
Same here.
And yeah.
And I'm on a bicycle.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you put an energy bubble around you or what?
I sure do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you do a bicycle?
Oh, I just like being active. I have a car,
Oh.
but I try not to use the car as much as I can. Price of gas? No, I'm just kidding. I've been biking for
That's
years.
true. What's your gas?
It's almost $7.
Ours
Mhm.
is 5.
Yep.
But
Which is high for you.
it is high for us.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
a lot of people are complaining. I saw a line yesterday driving home, and it was about 3 blocks. And
Wow.
I was like, what is this line? There must have been an accident.
Yeah.
But I got up there and they were waiting to get gas.
Wow.
The gas had gone down to $4.50,
Oh, wow.
and they were waiting to get gas,
Wow.
which I hadn't seen that before in Tyler.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have been really blessed
Mm.
because we usually had the lowest
Mhm.
gas prices,
Mhm.
but that's changed.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm.
So, all right, give us another tip. Let's see. I want to know if I'm parking
Mm.
and I am not downtown,
Mhm.
but because some people, when you get into an uncomfortable or an area you don't normally go to, you get a little,
Yeah.
you're watching out anyway.
Mhm.
But when we go to a shopping center that we go to all the time, but
Mhm.
we're there at night,
Mm.
then what would you suggest we do when we have our arms full of packages and we're walking out to the car?
Yeah. Well, I always suggest at least having one hand free.
Okay.
So whether, again, I know it's silly, but I wear a backpack most times because I want my hands free.
Yeah.
So if you can have crossbody bags and stuff like that, where they're on your body, but not in your hands,
Mhm.
that's tip 1. Always practicing situational awareness, always listening to your intuition if something seems off, starting to ask yourself questions of how do I get myself to safety? What's the next right step I can take? And, again, there are personal safety tools that you can also carry with you. What I think they do
Mace.
best, like pepper spray.
Pepper spray.
Mm-hmm. Like personal alarms. I'm not talking guns. I live in California.
No, we don't need those.
Yeah.
We don't.
So that kind of stuff. But what I think that does is just remind myself to be even more aware. Oh, why am I carrying this pepper spray? Oh yeah, it's a reminder for myself that I need to just perk up, be alert, be aware of what's going on in my surroundings.
There's something they use in the neighborhood now that I'm a dog owner again, and we have walkers. They have these really piercing noise makers for dogs that get in a fight.
Oh.
And I've thought about carrying that to
Why
just
not?
startle the person,
Yeah.
and really call out for help. Oh, I had something. Oh, well, it'll come back.
Okay.
If you just wait long enough, they always come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, what will you go on a book tour with your book?
Yes. So in September, I have mostly speaking gigs that I probably would have been doing anyway, but I'll have the books with me. So I speak a lot to realtors. I'll be out in the Fort Bend area with all the Women's Council of Realtors out in Texas, Fort Bend.
Wonderful.
And Naples, Florida, and Connecticut, and New Jersey, and kind of all over, and possibly Denver as well. So It's going to be a busy, fun month, and I can't wait to meet all these amazing new women in my life. It truly brings me joy. It just makes me so happy.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Well, I've not been on a book tour. Would this be your first? Is it
Yes,
kind of, oh, so it'll be exciting. Well, you have to come back and tell us how it
I will
is.
for
You
sure.
might need to take a lot of vitamins, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Get
You'll
me
need
through.
the
Yeah.
dojo
Yeah.
for sure, won't you? You'll
Mhm.
need that dojo for sure.
Yes.
Well, share with me, if you will. I normally ask a question um, of all my guests. It's
Yeah.
basically the same question. But what would you share with us that is one of the biggest successes that you have had in your life? You consider it your biggest
Mhm.
success.
Hmm. That's a great question. Honestly, to point out like one big one, I would say it's this book, getting the publisher, like, because there's so many steps. And I think that's what I mean for all the things I'm thinking of in my life. They were all like a series of things that had to happen in order for the big thing to happen.
Yeah.
So in order for this book to get out in the world, I needed to get an agent. I needed to get a publisher. I needed to then get the publisher's weekly review. I needed to put together a tour, like all of these things that lead up to this poof, big book out into the world. Does that
Yeah.
make
Right.
sense? Yeah.
And so you're proud of the success. Would that be the right word to put on that?
Sure. I'm proud of the work that I've put in.
Right.
The success, I mean, the book's not even out in the world yet. So
Well, we know it's going to be a success. We're not even going there. It's a
well,
success.
well, thank you, Joyce. You know, from your lips to God's ears. But yeah, like I said, it's out in August. I'm just proud of the work that I've put in because I had to sit my butt in a chair for 2 years on and off, obviously, but to like finish it and really birth it into
Yes.
existence.
Yeah. It's not as easy as just self-publishing, which a lot of people, and I'm grateful for it because that's how mine was published,
Oh, great.
because it's a good thing.
Oh,
People
yeah.
can get information, but to go with the what I call the big boys,
Yeah.
the publishers, that does take work and organization and reprinting and proposing, all
Yeah.
that does
Yeah.
take consistency.
And
Did you have to get
time.
did you have to get somebody to help you with that, or were you on your own? Did you just kind of do it on your own?
I did most of it my own. Yeah.
Did you?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's a
Like
success.
most of my career, I've been working for myself for 20 years. I do most of the work myself, but my goal is really to develop a better support team for myself going forward.
Aha.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So what position will you hire first?
Well,
That's a hard one.
yeah,
A
it
girl,
is.
all trades, many
Yeah.
talents. A lot of talents. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
do you do most of your stuff yourself or do you have a team?
I have a small team
Yeah.
that does my booking
Great.
and puts the shows together
Great.
and publicizes them.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So, yes, because I am not the best on the computer. So
Uh-huh.
I really need both those people.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
do a great job. And they
Perfect.
try to keep me straight. So, but anyway, I'm
Well,
approaching the end of our hour.
okay.
Our time together.
Mhm.
I've so enjoyed getting to meet you.
Same to you.
I want to get this tape thing because I want this She Warrior because
Oh, yeah.
I want that as well
Yeah.
as your book. I need
Yes.
to order your book because I
Mhm.
think there's some real jewels in your book as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Joyce.
So thank you for saying yes to being on Second Wind.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you to everyone who listened, especially this far.
Yes. Now, listeners, I want to tell you today that you've heard some real wisdom here. And I just want to remind you that you are privy you can go and take advantage of this. The book itself is strong because it takes you from the basics to the experienced traveler. And if you've been facing heartaches, traumatic things, it's a tool that can help you go through that easier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we always say, did you hear her say, also support is a key when you're in this location in your life. You have to have a support, a family that can work with you and help you when you're down and needing. And no, it does not always have to come from your family. It can come from friends, from a written book. There's so many resources out there. But as you know, I always ask you to share the word. Please share this. Let your friends know there's somebody out there that desperately needs to hear this message. So I ask that you, after listening to the podcast again, you share this with your audience or send it directly to the woman that is suffering, that she's a friend and she needs your help. So I thank you for being here today. It is always my pleasure to speak to you. I love knowing that you're out there listening to Second Wind. So have a great week. It's going to be hot here, so stay where you are for sure. Thank you for being here. Bye.
I know. Bye.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.